Today I'm trying out Autodesk Sketchbook. Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again. I thought I'd give Autodesk Sketchbook a try because it's now free and you can use it free indefinitely if you create a free account, but you can also use it without creating an account for 7 days, which is what I've done in this demo here. Although I have to say, since trying this, I did download the PC version and create an account because I was really impressed with it. So this is my very first go ever with Autodesk. I've not had a play around with it. I went in, had a look at the size of the document. I thought, yeah, that's cool. That's big enough for doing a sketch. I've got no source material here or anything. I was just sat on the sofa early in the morning. I downloaded the app and I started to sketch the first thing that come into my head. So this is completely made up, and you'll see that I sort of rub things out as I'm going along and change it because there's no reference or anything. I thought I would just use the pencil tool. So I went in there, and it is very intuitive, but also weird at the same time. You'll see the sort of black circle at the side. I thought that you'd sort of put your pen on that and drag it and it would change the size of the pencil, and it doesn't. It changes, I think, the luminosity, and you actually have to put the pen on the pencil in the circle and drag that across to change the size. But once I'd sorted that out, it was easy. There was no problems at all. And I did the old sketch in one pencil, or using one pencil, just adjusting the size. I found, I suppose it's pixel size of 2.5. Can you have half of a pixel? I don't suppose you can. So I don't know what that measure is, but it's set to 2.5 anyway. And you also see I'm using the tilt feature of the pencil, tilting it on its side for shading. I'm not doing hatching as sort of fine lines. I'm doing much more broader strokes, shading, and I did change the pencil thickness to do the shading as well in times. There's a couple of erasers there. I used the one at the bottom and set that quite fine, which allowed me to do very fine erasers. Is that the right word? I don't know what I'm saying this morning. It allowed me to make very small adjustments to erasing out small areas and things. And this sketch, because it's totally out of my head, I've got no reference, I'm thinking, oh, the perspective's wrong. So I went in and changed that. And I just sort of add in things, and you'll see how I use the eraser now to take out the shading on the top of that little box, then at the side, and then I erase the shading I put in at the side of the building, and put a tree in, shaded that in, and by doing that, that kind of counterbalanced the light of the hut or shed or whatever it is I've drawn. And then thought, let's have a little fence in here. Feel a bit like Bob Ross, actually, sort of doing a bit of this and a bit of that. Let's have a happy little tree in here. There we go. Again, side of the pencil for all the shading. So I thought the actual pencil tool gave a very natural feel. It felt natural, straight out the box, no adjustments at all or anything. I really liked it. I'd actually, you notice I've created 2 layers. I created one by mistake, so I've got a few strokes on one layer and then working on the other. So it does support layers, and I merge them down in a little bit. So I put I thought, let's have a tree in the foreground. So I whacked a bit of a tree in there, and again, side of the pencil up and I'm rotating the canvas to enable me to shade that and sort of use the arc of my hand or from the wrist doing sort of a sweeping motion to get those branches in. And then I start drawing a bit more detail. I thought you'd probably see a little bit more detail of the trees, of the tree in the foreground. So I'll sort of beef that up a little bit. And I thought, yeah, I'm producing quite a nice little sketch here, just, off the top of my head. A bit more shading, just to get that foreground in. And then I thought, okay, I think we need a bit of a balance here. Well, I did in a minute. Shaded in a bit. This is where I was using the luminosity to change the tone. I could have used colour, I suppose, to do it, but I didn't. I used the luminosity to change the depth of the sky. Went in with the eraser to lift out a few things. And then I think it's at this point I start thinking, oh no, it's not. I decided that the foreground tree at this point needs chunking up a bit. I thought, I want more foliage on it and it to be more shaded and the sort of shadow underneath the tree in there. So I started to mess around with that a bit, and also have less smoother lines of the edge to sort of indicate that they're the leaves, because it's more in the foreground. All done with this one pencil, set to 2.7 now. And I guess strengthening up the shadows to make it more balanced. And here we go. This is what I thought I'd done earlier. I put another little tree in just to counterbalance the one on the left to finish off my sketch. So I thought, well, I've not really shown you much here. I've just taken a pencil and drawn a pencil sketch. What else can this app do? Because it's clearly very powerful. We've got text tools and all sorts. So I thought, let's add some colour. So I create a new layer. Well, first of all, I merged the layers down and I centralise. It was really easy to centralise the image and put it into the centre of the page. Just selected the little 4 arrows tool to move the image. Then I created a new layer, and first of all, I set the blending mode to hue, and that didn't do anything at all. When I applied a bit of colour, I chose a blue. This is all in real time at the minute because I wanted you to see how I set up the blending modes. So I chose a blue and tried that, and nothing happened. It didn't change it at all. So hue is not the blending mode to choose. So then I went back into it, chose the blending mode again and selected colour, and straight away you can see that it is now changed the colour of the pencil. So I then went over it, selecting colours, and added colour to my pencil sketch to turn it into a coloured pencil sketch. So really nice, really easy to use, very powerful, nice sketching app. Obviously, if you follow me, you know I'm well into paper by 53. And this felt equally as nice to draw with. It's just got a lot of tools, and I wonder if I was using it out sketching, it might bog me down a little bit and the sort of technology take over. I don't know, but it really is nice. And then I created another layer, and I chose the paintbrush and put a little bit more colour in there, and I was messing about with modes and things just to sort of see what I could come up with. And in the end, I think I just created a multiply layer and chose some really soft colours just to add a little bit of depth into it, but nothing too strong really. So that is kind of pretty much the sketching tool there. I'm I put some paintwork over the sky and then decide to scrap that. So I put a little bit more shadow work in, but this is about it. I'll sign it in a second or two. And then I thought, okay, what can we save this out as? So I started looking at how to save it. Oh, and I discovered right at the end that you could change the opacity in the side of the brush with 2 sliders that you just saw there. Then I went to saving out the image, and as soon as I chose save, I discovered that there was a PSD Photoshop version to save as well. Or actually, that was in the export. I saved it first of all, and it kind of puts it in a sketchbook, not like Paper by 53, where you actually see a sketchbook, but it just sort of, you can create a project and put different images in the project. So you can see there I've called the project demo and the painting demo sketch or something like that. So then I went to export, and I discovered that I could export it as a PSD, which I thought, that's interesting, that I can do layers with it. So that's a bit amazing. So I did go to save that as a PSD, and I saved it to files, and I've sort of got a structure of folders set up for exporting videos and artwork and audio and everything that I use for making up my videos. So I stuck it in the artwork folder, and then I thought, let's see if I can open this in Procreate, because that would be really interesting, that I could then import my sort of sketch idea with all its layers and everything into Procreate. So I exported it. Here we are. I'm exporting it to files now. I think maybe, oh, this is the PNG. I did 2 exports. I did one as a PNG and one as the Photoshop. So I had a quick look to see that it had exported both versions. So there you can see the both the demo sketch. The one on the left is the PNG, and the much bigger file, 39 meg on the right, was the PSD Photoshop one. So I opened up Procreate. Now you can see some of the paintings that I've worked on recently. And then I split the screen with the files and just dragged that Photoshop file over into Procreate to see what would happen. There we go. And miraculously, it imported it. So I thought, fantastic. Opened the file, and the only thing was that the background colour of Procreate was switched off. So as soon as I toggled that on, I got the complete drawing in Procreate with all the layers intact, and I just sort of toggled through them. You notice that it's got the modes still on there. We've got the multiply and the colour mode, and sort of I could toggle off my black and white drawing or colour drawing in Procreate, ready to use. So that is it. I hope you've enjoyed this tryout of Autodesk Sketchbook. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. As always, it's much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I have lots of videos like this, and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.